Hi, everybody. It's Judi Glova, and welcome to Your Mindset Mastery, winning strategies to create more time, money, and meaning in your life and business. And I'm so excited because I have Dr. Michelle Robin here today. Hi, Dr. Michelle. How are you?
Hi, Judy. I'm great. Thank you.
Great. And I have to tell our audience, the reason why, I love your work and the work that you do because you really do look at the whole person, right? You're looking at well-being from a holistic level. And I also love one of the quotes that you have about, small changes, big shifts, right? Because a lot of what I love to give in this program is all about those little things that we can do that can make a big difference. And another reason why you're here is, hey, we're all busy business people, so we have to have a healthy mindset and be health-minded. So that's why I was so excited to have you on. And so let's jump in a little bit, and we'll obviously get to a whole lot more about your background as we're talking. But let's jump in, and let me ask you the first question of, what does mindset mastery mean to you?
Mindset mastery to me means that it's important to realize that the equation is so whole. When I'm not focused, I have to think about how am I eating, how am I sleeping, how am I moving. It's just a kind of a whole quadrants of well-being, as I like to call it. So mindset mastery to me also means that my mind does not get in my way. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I have some stinking thinking. And it used to be something would happen to me and it would take me days to overcome, even weeks or months. And now I'm able to go to the instant and say, Michelle, at 9:05, you were in the zone, and at 10:02 you're not in the zone. What happened between that? Was it an email? Was it a phone call? Was it a text? Or did something not so great happen? So I think it's really people being able to be in the state of mind where they're able to really tune in to figure out what's keeping them from being present.
Got it. So I actually we've already hit on some, at least a few golden nuggets right there, and I want to reiterate. So the quadrants of well-being, which I think we'll get into a little bit more in a minute, are part of well-being and part of mindset and mastering mindset. But I like the way you said, when your mind doesn't get in the way, and really being able to notice that when you're in the zone, you maybe get triggered or something, and how do you have the resilience to get back to that place? Is that accurate?
Well, yeah, and I think the resilience comes from looking at your health from a whole perspective and realizing that did my blood sugar drop? Because sometimes it's a physiological change. It's not just shift happen outside of you. It's something happened inside of you. And so how do you, Dr. DeMartini says, how do you realign your divine, right? So that's one reason why I love being a chiropractor, is because sometimes you need an adjustment to kind of wake back up.
Right. Yeah. And I also think in terms of too, the chemical reactions that our body has when we're under stress, right? I mean, that can really throw our physiology off when, we're under stress, all of those chemicals in our body, and you can talk a little bit more in detail about those, but they can definitely flood, I call it flooding. I get into a place where I feel flooded and I can't focus. And for me to get back into alignment, it takes a little bit of, a practice or some tools and techniques.
Well, it can be flooding on the inside and flooding on the outside. It's always an inside out job. And I think that so many people are living off stress hormones these days that they don't even know that they're having palpitations in their heart. And I was one of those people. I remember driving home keenly. I was driving home one day and I lived out in the country, and I remember exactly where I was at, and my heart was racing. And I thought, oh my God, I've got 30 families depending on me to show up tomorrow. And that was overwhelming. And then I realized that I was maybe addicted to, or I just was so used to living on adrenaline, because as a kid, we are an accumulation of our whole life. And so mindset starts as a child. You can be anything you want to be. I remember my chiropractor saying to me, Michelle, and I never heard those words at the age 15, you could be anything you want to be. I was just trying to survive the madness in my house. Yeah. And so when he said that to me, something clicked into me and said, you know what, I can, and I will. And so I think that when you think about mindset mastery, it's also, if you have grown up in a lot of chaos, that you may be used to the adrenaline rush. And so there's the chemicals you get from being stressed. There's the chemicals you get from eating the wrong foods that create stress. There's also the chemicals you put on the outside of your body, or the smells you come in. For instance, people love lavender. They love to be me lavender. Michelle, you're a wellness person. Surely you love lavender. I don't. My body does not like lavender. And so I don't want to wear it. I don't want to smell it. I don't want to be around it. And that doesn't mean I'm against it. It's just I know what my body reacts to. Mm-hmm. Now you bring me an orange flavor, orange essential. I'm like, okay. So I think that when you think about chemical stress, it's multifaceted.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, again, I want to kind of go back a little bit more because I do think that it's pervasive, that people have an adrenaline addiction. And to your point, it could come from several different places. It could come from, family history of growing up in an environment that was very stressful. You said it's also that feeling of, being in survival. But I liked how you also said that you got a sense as to, there's a different way when you were realizing you were in that survival mode and someone told you could do anything. And that made you understand like, oh yeah, like I can. So if we're talking, our audience is busy business people, whether they're entrepreneurs or corporate executives, and, tell them what they need to look out for. What are things like, you mentioned you had some physical responses, right? So what are some of the things that you've seen in your patients?
Well, I'm going to go to the current time, okay? Because I think, I've been 50 years on the planet, 51 years, and I think there's so long you can blame your systems and your parents and the government or whoever. And so you have to say, you know what, I'm responsible for my state right now. And so, Judi, I think it's really important for people to realize when they're in, I'm going to call it presence. I know people are using that word a lot right now. I'm going to put quotes around it. But there's times when you're really in the zone and you are locked in. And then there's times where you're like all over the place. And sometimes, like I remember, it's a perfect example today, I was adjusting a patient and all of a sudden I chased a rabbit. And I looked at her and I said, oh my goodness, I have a rabbit, but I need to tell you about the rabbit I'm chasing because the rabbit was for her behalf.
Oh, okay.
And so I told her, she's like, oh my God, I can't believe you thought like that, because I want to help support her new vision of creating a treatment center for eating disorders in our area that we desperately need. And so when we think about when I'm in a situation with somebody, do I leave feeling empowered? Do I leave feeling lifted up? Do I leave feeling drained? Do I leave feeling inspired? And so I think that that's how we got to tune into as leaders. And I think we're on this rat race because we're climbing. And I was climbing until I started having that thought driving home. And then I thought, you know what? I'm not sure I really want that responsibility, because for me, I was taking people's power away, especially when you work with people like I do, body workers and chiropractors and psychotherapists. They really want to be in charge of their own ship. They just don't want to take the risk. Mm-hmm. How can I help them lovingly take the risk with having a safe net to fall on?
Right.
I don't know if that answers your question, but I think as business people, we I'm just around so many phenomenal business people. I think we're living somebody else's dream.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm also wondering too, because that did answer my question. And I'm wondering too, are there things that we do like drinking caffeine, like not getting enough sleep? Does that impact when we're in that adrenaline rush, or when we're in the adrenaline rush, we don't sleep as much. So then we drink coffee, it's kind of like, and we get really high on just keep on going and going, and we don't actually take breaks, right? Is that part of the adrenaline?
I think without a doubt. I mean, it is a mind, body, spirit, of the quadrants of well-being: mechanical, chemical, energetical, psycho, spiritual. They all feed off each other, and they're kind of magical. But when you start to pull them apart, you can say, oh, aha, I'm not sleepy because I had iced tea or a coffee at 5 o'clock tonight, or I had a glass of wine and I'm having a sugar reaction, so I'm waking me up in the middle of the night. It could also be that for me, I was so used to the chaos and just doing this that once I kind of took a moment to say, it doesn't have to be that way. And I think a lot of us don't realize it doesn't have to be that way. And that's what's so important about the mindset mastery that you're teaching, Judi. There is another way.
Absolutely. Yes, there is another way. And I was wondering, can you explain those four quadrants? And so, because it sounds like that's a great practical tool or a reference point for us to think of so that we can really help get ourselves in alignment. Because I'm also a huge believer in, when you have a clear vision and you're aligned with the truth of who you are, there's nothing that you can't do. But part of what that alignment is, like you said, the four quadrants. So what are the four quadrants and what should we know about them?
Well, I'm glad you asked because they kind of light my heart. So when you think about the quadrants of well-being and what I built in Kansas City at Your Wellness Connection is a healing center that's based on the principles. People are like, I'm so glad this place is here. And I want to say, well, you know what? I've self-fully created for myself so that I could get the chiropractic care and have the Tai Chi and the yoga and the acupuncture and the massage therapy and the things I needed to do to stay well. And I wanted the people that I love and care about. If you love and care about people, you try to create those experiences for them. So the model I use is based on basically the Asian lifestyle. So my teacher, Dr. Richard Yenny, he helped bring acupuncture to America. He's from all places, Independence, Missouri, which is, we might call it the armpit of Kansas City. But that's where President Truman was from, and he was his interpreter. And he fell in love with the Asian lifestyle as a young boy and was traveling with him to Asia, and he got hurt because he owned judo studios. And he went to the hospital and they did acupuncture. And this is back, I don't know my history, so I'm not sure what year this was in, a while ago, and before I was born. And when he came back to Kansas City, the closest thing to acupuncture was chiropractic. So he started teaching chiropractors acupuncture. And I remember clearly being with him, and he said these things to me, and my undergrad's in accounting, so I think like a business person. So he said, "Michelle, there's mechanical, chemical, energetical, psycho-spiritual." And so the way the Asian lifestyle is, they do something called Tui Na. Tui Na is a type of massage therapy that clears imbalances. You might think of that a little bit like chiropractic. How do we remove the interferences? And then they also did something called herbal therapy, and the food you eat really help you. And then they also did this thing called energy medicine, which most people think is Chinese, would be acupuncture. And it's really the whole Chinese medicine lifestyle. But acupuncture is you have an interruption in your flow of your energy, whether from toxins, muscle spasms, scar tissue, whatever reason it could be that's blocking the flow. I try to tell people it's kind of like, I don't know about you, but have you had a strawberry shake before?
Yeah.
And you're drinking the strawberry shake, and all of a sudden a strawberry gets stuck in the straw.
Yes.
Some of the flow, but you're like, this is going to take me forever. So you blow air in it, and it cleans out the straw, and then you take in, all of a sudden you got good flow.
Right.
So acupuncture, it helps restore the flow. And then the last part they did was they did a lot of Qigong. And Qigong is to help you kind of help clear your mind. And they did poses to really help you be more in alignment with the essence of who you really are. And so I've coined the quadrants of well-being. And another analogy that your business leaders will understand is much like running a business. You need operations, marketing, finance, and leadership. Operations is the mechanics. You and I cannot sit here and have this conversation and move my arms if I did not have some mechanics working. What makes the mechanics work in the operations is marketing. You got to have customers, and the customers for our body is going to be the chemistry. It's going to be the right fuel to fuel the operations. And then you look at it and go, okay, well, I've got good operations and I've got good marketing, but I don't have the capital I need. I don't have the finance I need. Okay, that's the energy. And many people are running out of finance or running out of energy to support the system. Well, I've got great capital and I've got great operations and I'm delivering on the promise through my marketing, but we have a lousy leader. So that's a psycho-spiritual. That's that mindset that you're so keen on, and how do we really frame that? And so it takes all four of those to run a good business. And sometimes you're focused more on one than the other. But as you really start to dial them in, much like driving your car and your four wheels, all of a sudden you get everything going in the right direction. You get there more efficiently.
Right, right.
So I believe that whether you're running a business, which this is a business to me, okay, I'm going to get high returns. And the high returns, I want to be able to enjoy my nieces and nephews, and I want to be able to show up not only for other people, but I want to show up for Michelle. And so how do I run this business through those different levels?
Wow.
You're in trouble. How much time do you have?
Oh my gosh. I'm like, I really want to recap all of those things that you just said because it's brilliant. It's like blowing my mind and I love it. Because the way you talked about the four quadrants and then how you laid it over to business and how, our beingness is a business. The four quadrants being the mechanical, the chemical, the psycho-spiritual, and the energetic. I mean, those are our physicality. That's all of what we have to manage in well-being, right? When we're in well-being, we have, attention in those areas and good flow and good balance and all of that. So I love that. But again, the brilliant part was when you laid it on top of business language, because if we don't have good mechanics, we're not operating. I mean, I know that I get adjusted and I just love it because there are certain times, like my back will lock up if I'm too long at the computer or whatever. It's like my back and my shoulders and my neck, sometimes it gets really uncomfortable. So being able to have that mechanical, I can work longer and work also more effectively when my mechanics are working. Definitely the fuel, the marketing, the chemistry, the fuel. What am I using? What am I putting into my body to fuel it? But also, how am I making that work for me? And, the finance piece, linking that to energy. I even think of, chi and money and all of that. Money is energy. It's like, how are we spending our energy? Because spending is money. Time is money. And, this program is called, Your Mindset Mastery: Winning Strategies to Create More Time, Money, and Meaning in Your Life and Business. So it's definitely hitting on that energy piece. And then the leadership is, it's the psychosocial. It's like everything that happens in between your ears is so important to make sure that we're having the correct mindset, the thoughts that we're thinking, the consciousness, the awareness, so that we can be the best, run the best business that we have and be able to share that and model that for others. Because I also believe, a true leader and a really successful business person is also able to model that for their people. Because how many people have you seen, come through your office where it's like, oh, I work like crazy, but I don't expect my people to, but everybody sees you working that way. So of course, they think that they have to be as stressed out as the boss is. So it's like really being able to focus on all of those. And I'm just curious too, what do you find is the most effective way that you have in being able to really keep track of all of these? I mean, is it like a daily, weekly check-in? I mean, is it something, how do you tell people that they should be kind of grounded in these four quadrants?
Well, two questions there. One, how do I, and how do I tell? And I try to not tell, but I try to be a witness. I try to be an example when I show up in a space. How do I create positive energy? Dr. Hawkins says that, I can't remember if it's David or Steve because I'm thinking about Paul right now. I think it's David. David Hawkins in his book, Power versus Force.
Oh, yeah.
We're either helping heal the planet or we're helping create chaos, and when we're in a bit of chaos right now, I'm not sure who disagrees with that statement, but how do I bring myself to the situation? And so when you see me, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to eat French fries, Judi. When we're together sometime, I'm going to order French fries. I want you to know right now, it's my favorite.
Right. And if they're sweet potato fries, I'll be sharing them with you.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's what they're going to be. And so, but I think living with transparency, I think living authentically, at the same time, being the energy you want to attract, being that type of person. So I can't tell my clients to avoid gluten when I'm not doing it. So here's an example. I had a patient come in today, and sometimes when you're in the zone, you're especially when you use your hands, you just feel stuff. Mm-hmm. It feels good or if it doesn't feel good. And so she said to me today, her first question was, how did you know to tell me to come off gluten a few years ago, 100% because of Hashimoto's? And she looked at me like a deer in the headlight. First of all, I don't have Hashimoto's. Why would I want to come off gluten? Blah, blah, blah. And so today she says to me, how did you know that 3 or 4 years ago? Because I went to my doctor, they finally tested my TPO, and it's a little off balance. They didn't talk to me about it, but I got on Dr. Google, and Dr. Google said, by the way, that's Hashimoto's, and you need to stay off of gluten.
Wow.
And so I don't think sometimes I do a good enough job effectively telling people why I sense it and why I feel it, because most people, until they have a reoccurring issue, they don't take action.
Mm-hmm.
So I want your listeners to say, you know what? I am designed to have the most phenomenal experience in my life. However, I've got to tune in.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got to tune in and pay attention to those quadrants of well-being. And so I'm not sure what your question was, but I'm sure having a fun time talking to you.
Yeah. So, and I really like how you gave that example of somebody who came in and you were just able to tune into her energy. And I can tell you, I personally have experience in dealing with all of my clients too. And sometimes it's just on the phone. I can tune into what kind of energy what frequency they're kind of vibing at, because heavy energy, you can hear it. I mean, I don't even have to see it. I can hear it. Yeah. Yeah. And we can, sometimes we need to be the mirror for other people. But when I flip that around, when you're, the entrepreneur, when you're the corporate executive, you're the leader in an organization or in a team, your energy also vibe. People pick up on it. So being able to be conscious of that is really important. So yeah, really being able to be tuned in to all those different things that are happening. And yeah, and I like the fact that, you have built up this intuitive way of just being able to sense what people need. I mean, that's brilliant. I mean, that is truly my experience too of the beauty of chiropractic. Great chiropractic doctors really can tune in to their patients in such a way and read them, and really support them in being able to shift. And I'm just wondering too, again, most of the people when I was reaching out and creating this summit, they had said, they struggle with, the time, money, and meaning. Do you notice that, the people that are coming into your office, do you notice how they have a change or a shift, like when they first come into you, as opposed to like 6 months down the road or a year down the road? Do you notice how perhaps their energy shifts?
Oh, I think without a doubt, because what people will say to me, and I'm trying to think of an analogy. Coming from patients today, I remember hearing that. So let me think here. So I'm just thinking about, here's an example. Somebody referred somebody to me recently that wants to be in the wellness space. They're a salesperson and they're in the business space, and I think they're a little tired. Or burnout, or whatever word you want to use. And then this is a new person. I literally met her in person yesterday at an event, but she's been emailing me, and I happen to have a need for possibly somebody like her. So I said, just come and hang out with me for a day in the treatment room so you can kind of see what I'm about. And then I met her in an event, and she goes, hey, I'm following you tomorrow. It's nice to meet you. And today she said, I really like the energy that you show up with. And so when you show up with clean energy, people can't help but change. And the other thing that happened today, which was fascinating, is one of my long-term friends had their house burned down about 18 months ago.
Wow.
And just has been really, she's a businesswoman, really just trying to put her life back together for her and her kids and her partner. And so she re-engaged with me probably about 4 weeks ago for some hip pain because she couldn't run. And we talked about neck pain. But the words out of her mouth today, she had on a shirt today about being around good people, right? And I actually have a bottle right here. I'm going to give a shout out to the Be Good to People, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I have a shirt. I also have a water bottle that says Be Good to People. So there's good people hang around good people, right? If you want to be great, you got to be around great people. But there's sometimes when you're around, as Wayne Dyer would say, the turd that won't flush.
Yes.
There's the turd that won't flush. And you're like, oh my gosh, turd, why won't you flush? And they're some of your biggest teacher. And so some people have average energy, but how can we still be good to them? It doesn't mean we're in bed with them. It just means we're nice to them and we move on. So it's continuing to show up like that. So I hear stories like that all the time, and I want to tell you that I'm just at a point now where I'm actually able to take it inside my spirit, because I think so many times I was deflecting what people were saying, because I never want to not be humble. I don't want to have a big head. I don't want to be ego. I just want to show up, and I want to be kind. That's it. And I want to help you get to where you're trying to go.
Right. That's great. Awesome. So now I'm going to pivot a little bit more, and I want to ask you, what is it that you're working on right now that you're really, really excited about?
Well, I'm working on a lot I'm really, really excited about. I'd say the two big things that are globally, one is I'm working on spreading the message about the quadrants of well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And and it ties into my second thing. And so I have hired a company this year, Overflow Storytelling Labs, to tell the story of well-being in Kansas City. And we're dripping it out throughout the country as well, around the quadrants of well-being. So we actually created a microsite, quadrantsofwellbeing.com, where people go to and they can get a bunch of free advice. And they also can download my latest ebook called Small Changes, Big Shifts, How to Put the Odds in Your Favor. It's really, you just put the odds in your favor that you're doing the right thing. I don't know if I'm going to live if I put my seatbelt on, if I get in a car accident, but I do know by putting my seatbelt on, it gives me the odds in my favor. By focusing on your mindset, it puts the odds in your favor. By eating my vegetables, it puts the odds in my favor. And so I just want people to realize that there is some simple things they can do to really take control of their own well-being and take that power back. And so I'm working on that project, but it really layers into what I'm really extremely passionate about, is really connection. How do we develop more connection? And I think of well-being like an umbrella. And then I think about little kind of spokes coming down from them. And I'm just going to take the metro Kansas City area. I believe we have probably 1,500 well-being companies and well-being practitioners in this city. And people, I have this patient, her name is Margaret, and she lives about 35 minutes from me, and she's 75. And she says, I just can't get there because I have to get a ride. And I said, Margaret, I am so sorry that you should not have to drive here to see me. Let me find you somebody that's close to you. I don't want my ego about me thinking I'm all that in a bag of chips to get in the way of you having this experience, right? So I did. I got on the phone and I found her a chiropractor that's within miles from her house.
Wow.
She doesn't have to worry about having somebody spend 3 hours by the time they drive her, go get her, drive her here. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want the world to know that there's phenomenal practitioners, healers, friends within their own neighborhood that can help them live a more balanced life. And I also believe that if I see you, if you're my neighbor and I see you at the grocery store and I'm your provider, I'm going to have to do right by you.
Right.
Right?
Right. Absolutely.
I can't be a scam artist. I can't take your money when I don't earn it. I have to really, truly realize we're in partnership. And I think if we realize that we're in partnership in this world, it's not you against me. We are all in this together. Oh,
absolutely.
So I am extremely passionate about creating a consortium of wellness people that say, you know what, I get it. And this is my community. And I'm going to lock arms and I'm going to realize that I'm not going to connect with everybody.
Right.
I do know somebody. I tell my patients, I just had a patient today, I have a young girl, she's 15. She had a couple concussions and she has horrible migraine headaches.
Wow.
Medical stuff. Her mom happens to be a therapist that comes to her office twice a month. And finally, after about 6 months, her mom brought her in to see me. And I saw her today. She hasn't had any more migraines, but she still has daily headaches. I said to her, you know, I want you to know that I am 99% sure you're going to get through this. And we're going to figure this out. It's not going to be just me. We've got a team of people. She's getting acupuncture. We talked about cranial sacral. I said, I even know the people at Children's Mercy, and I'm happy to call that hospital for you. And so we have got to realize that we are all in this together.
Wow. Well, yeah. And I mean, honestly, that they're so lucky to have somebody like you that looks at it from that perspective of saying, you know, we're going to get you well, and let's look at it in a systematic way of what's the best way we can figure out what's going to work for you. Because yeah, when you're dealing with pain, when you're dealing with, you know, being out of balance, you know, what's the best way to serve? And, you know, I just think that is such a generous way for you to show up in the world. So thank you for being one of those doctors that really, you know, provides that to people. And so that we know that there are holistic doctors that really understand. So that's awesome. And talking about generosity, I also want to thank you for being generous. There's a wonderful free gift that you're giving us. So can you tell us a little bit about the free gift?
Yeah, it's my online program called the E Factor, Engage, Energize, Enrich, 3 Steps to Vibrant Health. I really, after all these years, I believe that people are tired. They've got fatigue, they've got anxiety, they've got depression. You know, we just had another kid commit suicide yesterday in our city, and it's just rampant right now. And I know it's not just in Kansas City, but there's another way. And part of it is really getting engaged in the journey. You've got to figure out what's your why. Why do you want to be healthy? I find it happens most often when my men have grandbabies, because then they go, oh, I get it. And okay, now I'm gonna drink my water. Now I'm gonna exercise. But find out what is that why and what's your purpose. I just hosted Dr. Partha Nandi in Kansas City, and he says he's got the top 5 ways to become your own health hero. One is have a purpose. And so what is your vision for your life, or your purpose for your life? And then what's your why? And then you have to find out what's your path. And that's why this mindset mastery is so well, because people can find a path. And how do we figure out how we're going to get there? Because there's so much noise out there. I can tell you, if it's going to cost you a ton of money, it's probably, and you have to go in serious debt to do it. It's probably not your path.
Right.
But there's so many little things that we can do that aren't sexy to be well, that do the little things first, and I think it will peel off the onion enough that you can get to the core more. And then once you've got a purpose, a vision, you find out your why, you got a plan, you got to find out your tribe. Who's going to be your cheerleaders, and who can really cheer you on? Because once you get engaged, I can promise you, you're going to get energy. And then once you get energy, you say, oh my gosh, how do I give back? So engage, energize, and how do I enrich? I am just I'm telling you, I'm looking at my wall of my mentors over here, and it makes me emotional, is they poured into me. They believed in me. And so you have to believe in other people have to believe in you. You got to draft off their belief. Mary Morrissey talks about it. I believe you study with Mary Morrissey some. And I believe that you believe. I don't believe that I could do it, but I believe that I can. And so I'm going to draft off that. And so it's really important to find out your tribe, and it's really important to give back. And so I'm in that give back stage of my life. I'm concerned. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and do nothing about it.
Right. Yes. That's so generous. And again, all of those things in your book do talk about mindset. It's very much about how do we create that why? What's that big purpose? What's that vision? What are we here to do? What's the plan, right? How do we engage and enrich and surround ourselves with really good people? And how do we give back? And I also truly believe that, happiness comes when we're able to give back. Like, we don't get to true happiness until we give back to something greater than ourselves. Because if it's just about us, it's really easy when there's a bad day for everything to be like, well, if I'm not okay, then everything else is not okay. But when, we're able to give back and see the difference that we're making in the world and the impact, it can really lift us up and keep us in that great mindset. So I am so great. Oh, go ahead.
I got just a couple things. I know that we need to cut off here, but I think that if you're somebody that's saying, but I don't have the influence Judi has, or Michelle, you have influence on your own life and your own children. So really be that leader for your family. Say, we're going to put the phones away. We are going to go take a walk. We are going to sit down and have dinner, and we're going to make it together. And we're going to take time to be grateful. We're going to take time to pray, or whatever it is you do to really feel centered. So everybody's a leader of their own life. But I just was with my mentoring group in Minnesota, and I heard this very wise man who has had multiple successes in business. And he grew up, one of those kids from the other side of the tracks, with no money, and he's made $1 billion. And he said, my goal is to die broke because of all the good I've done. Wow. And remember, we have 2 gifts. We have the gift down here in the URL with Ethan.
Right.
You can go download that free ebook. Small big shifts, put the odds in your favor. I have to say, it's one of my favorites.
I've actually read through it, and I think it was so comprehensive when I read through it this morning, and I'm really grateful for it. And I really want to encourage everybody to click on the URL. You're going to love it. You're going to really gain a lot of help from that, and obviously improve your mindset and get to that healthy place. So again, thank you, Dr. Michelle Robin. I really do appreciate all your time and your generosity. And we'll see you, our audience, on the other side at the next interview. And we'll see you then. Thanks for being here. Bye for now.